You're listening to Chicago Stories, a podcast from City Hall featuring the stories of everyday Chicagoans, as told to Mayor Rahm Emanuel.
This is Mayor Rahm Emanuel, Chicago Stories. We're joined by world-famous chef Graham Elliot. I wanted, before I start on cooking, do you have that coat in blue?
You know what? I'm working on getting you one. It's coming.
I'll give you. Yeah, you got some time to shop.
Okay.
It's good. That is a Jetsons outfit, man. I love
Isn't it great? It's like 1984 Thriller, MJ. Throwback.
It's cool.
Thank you.
You look great.
Thanks. I'm trying.
You've lost like 150. Mm-hmm. How did you do it?
Yeah,
150 pounds. I didn't mean to stop midstream.
Yeah, I actually had a procedure done called a sleeve where they make your stomach physically smaller, but as a chef, can still eat, taste everything, cook everything, et cetera, et cetera. But since then, that to me was like the jumping block to being able to really live healthier. So I've run marathons, half marathons, work out, and just, I have 3 boys, and a great wife. And when you see them having fun and playing, it's one thing to be 400 pounds and just sit and watch and say like, no, you guys have fun. And then you realize, no, I want to be in it. So that's what I did.
Well, that was, so they were the motivation?
Absolutely.
The kids, the 3 boys?
Yeah. I went to my kids, the oldest one, in first grade, and some kids came up and had put a soccer ball under his shirt and said like, look, I'm Milo's dad. Look how fat I am. And then I saw him and it was like, whoa, it's not just me, trying to lead by example, but like he is going to deal with stigma of these things, especially because people know me and like, the TV angle. So I don't know. I felt like I had to do something.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What was the biggest change on the diet?
Focusing on protein and not eating just junk. I feel like once you get to a certain weight, you almost give up and then just accept it. Like that's my role. I'm the big chunky fat guy with white glasses and I'm fun and let me eat
so you got white glasses and fun, you just lost the pounds.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still the same goofy guy. Yeah. But you almost feel like you're playing that role, and
that's impressive.
Yeah, so
I'm gonna have to take my hat off to your wife for not only putting up with you, but as one of 3 boys, that she has 3 boys, she's beyond a saint. There's nothing that will test motherhood. Like 3 Y chromosomes running around.
It's brutal. I feel so bad for her. And of course, we went and bought, a boy dog. And so she's like, I need friends and help.
Exactly. So let's talk about what brought you to Chicago. Because I was again reading up and I forgot about the Charlie Trotter.
Yeah.
So, was he the main, and how did you get to cooking? Because you must have been interested in cooking way before Charlie Trotter.
Yeah, absolutely. So my dad was in the Navy. So I've been to all 50 states. I traveled, kind of grew up and going to a ton of different schools and went to culinary school and was in Texas at a place called the Mansion on Turtle Creek. And that's where I was doing some cooking. I think it was 19 or 20. And Charlie came down and did a guest chef dinner. I begged to be able to go and work for free that night just to see him and so inspired by his books.
So he was an icon already.
Oh, he's the man, right? He's like, you have like the actor's actor that, he's the chef's chef. To go and see him and work next to him and then chatted with him and said like, I want to work for you. I'll do whatever. And so eventually...
I'll wear a red leather jacket.
I will wear this coat forever until you hire me. And he said, okay, get in contact with our people and we'll see. So I think I sent 10 letters and, this is before email really. And finally got a call back saying, if you want, come out here, check it out, see what you think. I came, I worked for free for 3 days and eventually was offered a position. So I moved here in December of 98. So it'll be 20 years now that I've lived here.
Oh my God. You really seen it change.
I have.
And then from there you went to True.
Yeah. I worked at True. So I did that with, and that introduced me to Rick Tremonto, Gail Gann, but also Rich Melman, who is the guru. That really showed, how do you do amazing food, but also have numbers and systems and those kind of things, in place and people accountable. Yeah, business side. So, so that was really interesting to see.
How do I don't even know. Considering that you started here 20 years ago, I think Charlie would look back and say, how does Chicago? He would not say. I think he'd be proud of the fact that Chicago, Bon Appetit's #1 restaurant city. How have you seen it change? What's been the good? What's been the bad? What can we improve? You must have seen tremendous change from getting out off of the plane at O'Hare.
Yeah, exactly. It's just accelerated so much. And what's amazing, you see chefs go to places and work under a certain chef, like Thomas Keller at the French Laundry or Danielle in New York, and then they'll move back to wherever they're from because you can't afford to live there, and that's a big thing. And what I've seen in Chicago, especially with Charlie, people would come here and then everyone stays. Like, you don't see a lot of big chefs coming in from New York. And this happened maybe 20 years ago. You had certain chefs that flew from New York, opened a place here thinking that they were going to be able to show Chicago how to do it. And those places don't work because Chicago, more than any other city I've ever seen, wants to support its own. So I'm leaving this restaurant and opening my own down the street, or Giuseppe Tentori or Matthias Mergis, or literally there's a dozen here that had worked for Charlie that opened their own place in Chicago, and Chicagoans support that. It's kind of like if all of a sudden, the Cubs get a player from the Yankees, the next day everyone's got that player's jersey on. Like, we just love our people here.
It is interesting. So where I work out, there's 5. We all are in the locker row, our lockers, and we all are like, we think we're the best foodies, and we share new restaurants, and we are serious about.
Oh yeah.
I sometimes email a couple of the guys and say, okay, I'm thinking about going on Saturday night. What do you got? Anybody got anything new that they? Yeah, it is. We're unique. It's not like a sliver of the city. It's a deep deal about supporting new restaurants in the neighborhoods and all across.
And what's so cool is that it's not just here's a 3 Michelin star restaurant. It's we have one of the most diverse cities on the planet, and you can go to a million different neighborhoods, even certain streets, like just Devon has all of these things, and you can spend a couple bucks on great food, you can spend $1,000 a person on great food, and everything in between. Everybody does the best with what they have. In this city, I think it's awesome that, again, all those different levels, people enjoy food and they see it as a creative outlet as well, and something that ties people together and histories. And that just makes it so fun, not only as a diner and someone that loves to eat, but to work and cook here and have people come in each night that you can try to blow away just doing what you do.
What's your take on why chefs have become personalities in a way that, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, maybe you did know Charlie Trotter, but today, because of TV and social media, they are personalities and they have followings in a way. What happened? And I also happen to know, cooking shows are have a almost a religious following. What did something switch, or it just was always there and the outlets let it happen in a bigger way?
I really do think it was just by turning a camera onto something and making that connection. All of a sudden is I guess was the impetus for all of it, because so many chefs now learned that this was a blue collar job. This was where you can get paid and pay bills by using your hands. And it was acceptable to yell at people in the kitchen and, go drinking after. This was the culture. Eventually it was, no, you need to learn how to lead and how to talk to people, and then how to go in the dining room and say hi to guests. And that was like a Wolfgang Puck thing that started that with an open kitchen. Then realizing
he was really the founder
he was
of
the
that?
first. Yeah, he started that, where people could see what he did, and he'd go to tables and say hi, and that was huge. And
so
then,
that was the Today Show version, which is you can watch the show.
Yeah,
you see the back
exactly, and see what's going on. And people love that peak. And all of a sudden, seeing that people love watching it on shows, and then you would do a food and wine event with a demo, and like you said, no one got into a line of work thinking that they would be famous, or that people would flock to them and follow them. But I think that this culture that we're in now, it's not even limited to food. Like as chefs, we keep thinking, what's next? Are there going to be like barbershop shows where who's the coolest tattooed barber that does like the great stuff? And all of a sudden everyone has these cult barbers. Is it a shoe shine person? It's anyone, because it's literally personality. And you see that in politics now, right? Look at the personality we have in the White House.
That's one adjective to describe it.
But if you're running for mayor, like you as Mayor Rahm have a personality that people know immediately when you say it. And there's certain ones where you might put on a suit and come in and do your job and you're great, but if you don't have a way to connect, or you don't have that personality, then people don't really know who you are, what you want. And that's what I see more than anything that people desire now, is a connection somehow.
Graham, so let me ask you a two-part question. Young man or woman says, I want to become a chef. What's your kind of career? I get when I go to do classes at Chicago Public Schools, if you wanted to be in politics or public service, what would what would you tell me? So if somebody turns to you for advice, counsel, career, they're interested in chef, culinary experience, the art of it. What's your 2-minute spiel about here, son, have it sit on my knee. Let me tell you.
Let me tell you what it is. I guess for me, it's really understand what you want your end result to be. Do you want to be, a famous chef that's on TV? And before it was like, that's bad to say, but there's a lot of people that want to be actors. Do you want to be, doing Shakespeare in the Park or making, hoping to pay your bills by doing the starving artist thing, or do you want to be Brad Pitt and make $50 million and be a huge star on the cover of magazines? So. You can be that chef, you can do catering, you can do super fine dining. You might not want anything to do with that and just write a cookbook. So, if you want to teach in a culinary school, you don't need to go work for Charlie Trotter 18 hours a day. And if you want to do that, you don't need to go to culinary school for 4 years and learn how to do, all of these different cuisines if this is the high-end French stuff you want to do. So I think always you want a foundation and education and experience is what that is based on, but know who you want to be in 2 years. Like kind of have that mapped out.
See it down the road or over the horizon.
Right. So I love public service. I've thought, do I go this way? How can I do this? And I think, I would love to, all I know how to do is cook and talk to people or whatever. What if I could do that on a larger scale instead of cooking for 100 people a night? What if I can cook for thousands? What if I could create a foundation and work on the south side where I live and, showcase some of those things?
What neighborhood do you live?
I live in Beverly, Beverly Morgan Park area.
I knew that. I was just testing you.
Yeah, just making sure.
Yeah. We had a cook-off, so I got it.
I have the picture, and I put it side by side so it looks like Rocky versus Ivan Drago of you and I.
I kicked your butt.
You destroyed me.
On my French toast from the challah bread from Shabbat. Okay,
totally.
Just for the record. I kicked your butt.
You did. You did.
I spanked you hard.
You have the gold toque hanging somewhere in the office. I know it.
So let me take us behind scenes.
Yeah.
You have a new restaurant.
Yes.
Name? So
Gideon Sweet.
Okay. How does that come about? You have your other stuff going on. Why did you want to do something totally new? Why did you want to take that menu, put it where you have it today? Get the listener behind the scenes. I assume this starts 3 years out, 4 years out. I mean, I don't know, but
sure.
What happens to kick you off and say, you know what, I want to hold up another branch, another segment we're going to go for? What is it?
I think it's a couple things. You always want to create, and you are looking for your voice. Who are you? What do you stand for? What food do you want to do, and what are people eating right now? And what I've seen is instead of just a 20-course tasting menu where you dictate to them you are going to eat these dishes for the next 3 hours, and this is how much it costs. It's just like you want to go on Spotify or iTunes and hear one song and move to this one and, create your own experience. So we have a restaurant that kind of caters to that now. You have 15 dishes. Every night we pass around on a tray what we call, it's noshin. The word nosh comes from it, but tons of little bites.
Oh, so you had to go Yiddish on us.
We did. That's all it's for.
Not only did I kick you, ever since the challah, you've totally gone Yiddish, okay?
That's what we're doubling down on. So we're passing this around.
Where are you going to be on Yom Kippur? No.
Well, I don't cook on Yom Kippur. I take that from Koufax. So,
That's very good.
Yes.
Very good.
But
you studied up for the interview.
I did. Sandy.
All Jewish holidays. and one famous Jewish athlete.
Right. I've got it. So if you take all these little bites and pass things around, everyone comes in, right? Yeah. They want to try new things. They want to take pictures of everything they eat. So it's got to visually look cool and go on Instagram right away. And so we've changed things like how are we going to do the lighting? How are we going to present the food? And that's a big part of it. So
things that you never used to do before.
Never. Oh my God, no, you just made great food. And now, again, personality and talking to people and explaining this and that. So what's really cool is when I moved to Chicago and worked for Charlie, the number 2 guy that really ran it all in the kitchen was Matthias Mergis. And he was so important to me and inspirational at that time in my life. I was age 20. I ended up naming my son's middle name Matthias. I mean, this guy was huge. And we've been getting together and thinking, wouldn't it be cool to like somehow combine forces one day? So we made that happen with Gideon Sweet. He and I are like co-chef partners running this place. So it's like 2 decades later, we're here and doing food together, talking to guests, cooking, and being in this cool little space on Randolph. So
you're co-piloting?
Co-piloting.
That's a new experience.
I think that's something you're going to see more of, though.
Why is that?
Because a lot of it, again, is economics. So to go and raise money and to open a restaurant and to hope it works out, and it doesn't because whatever reason, it's really hard. So you see some people now, I think in Denver, my friend was saying, you'll have a space where these people will use it at lunch, and then the restaurant comes in at night and does the dinner, and then someone wants to use that space overnight to prep or do stuff for their bakery thing. Like, you have a brick and mortar, but maybe the rent's too high for one person just to serve dinner and make it. Exactly. So, I mean, for us, we said, okay, well, you have a huge, fan base locally. You do amazing stuff. You know all the cooks and all these industry folks, and a lot of people know me from TV. On a national scale. How do we hit all these people? Do something great and new. And it just made sense. So that's where we're at.
For the city, back to that for 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
I was out of town, but I read Grace closes.
Yes.
And this is the year with Bon Appetit, Condé Nast, Chicago. We all knew it.
Yeah.
But now we're at our weight class, best restaurant city,
sure.
etc. Is Grace closing a body blow, or it's painful, but we're still okay? I know we're not a one restaurant city, but that's a big that's a big named restaurant for the city.
Sure, but
what is the community saying now?
I think everyone was caught off guard just because it is such a big name and presence here. Mm-hmm. But as we were just touching on, it's not just, you don't go because you've heard of Grace. You go because it's Curtis Duffy, and he's the chef, or Michael Muser, and he does the wine. They're the ones that achieve this. You could close Grace. They can go and open Johnny's and do the same food in a different room and still achieve 3 Michelin stars and be just as, important and relevant as that restaurant was. So I think it's anything else. The band broke up, but these members are going and creating this new thing. So they're going to be doing another restaurant. They're obviously going to do something in Chicago, which is where they're based, and people support them and they love it. So. I mean, absolutely.
Right.
So I think that'd be different. We're tired of the city and we're going to go open here. It's not that. It was, I'm sure, business things going on internally. But, I spoke to those guys the other day at the John Bonchet Awards, which we, just presented here. And I think that they're super excited because it's all change is good. You just run with it.
So back to the creative part. Mm-hmm. You told me, you wanted to get together with some friends, a mentor of yours, and you decided to create something totally new experience, etc. Mm-hmm. Give me the dish that you thought was the most interesting process. How did you come about? What was the trial and error part of your salmon dish?
Well, let's see. For me, it's a lot easier to, I guess, some people see things as black and white, and others, for me, it's all gray area. I can go and open the fridge and see carrots and say, okay, we can grill them, smoke them, pickle them, shave them into a salad, make a carrot cake, or juice them for carrot juice. Like, there's a million things, and no one is better than the other.
I thought those were called hummus sticks. I didn't know they had another purpose. Wow, who knew there was so much you could do with a carrot? I thought it was a hummus stick. Who knew?
I'm here to teach. That's what I'm here for. But literally, you can take anything and turn it into something. And so that, to me, is like the... one of the strengths I have. One of the negatives is being able to actually sit there and try to, write it out and test it. And so you have someone else that's great at that part that might not be as creative. And I think that that's something I learned from Trotters, like every day, here's a new 50 dishes we're doing, and tomorrow we're going to do something different again. So it's like he always said, you go into the studio, you can either do classical and read the music, or you can be like Miles Davis and just pick up your instrument and play however you feel. And that's kind of how we cook. So there's not a ton of testing and recipeing things. It's much more, how do you feel today? What's the weather like?
Okay, so I'm at Gideon Suite.
Yes.
What are the 3-4 dishes I have to know the experience?
Yes,
you are proudest of the new restaurant.
Yes. All right. So one is
Hold on a second.
Okay, you write them down. Yes.
I don't go in there and get the B dish. I want the A dish.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So king crab that's been dressed with uni butter or sea urchin butter, topped with trout roe, and there's a little seaweed salad under that. So it's very delicious and simple. Another is the bone marrow croquette. So croquette, traditionally mashed potato rolled, crisped up. This one's got bone marrow in it, served in like a little hollowed out bone. Very pretty, very yummy. Little spicy crab mayo on it.
Okay.
And I'd say a third one would be the dessert, which is a caramelized apple tart. And
Can we just start there and forget the appetizer?
Yeah. So
Get a sugar high.
If you go in and say, I want dessert, and I'm starting backwards to this, people will be like, God, he's such a foodie. He knows more than we do. It's like listening to an album backwards.
Yeah, my worst experience. I say this to Amy all the time when she says to the waitress or waiter, what do you recommend? They go, well, this is my favorite. Well, okay, then you order that. I want to know what I want, not what you want me to have. Yeah. So that's the experience.
That's so funny.
So how's it going at getting?
Good. Yeah, it's great. I mean, of course, you have an idea that you're going to open on this date, and then you end up opening like right before it's negative 20 degrees and the holidays. So it's great. It's
kind of like a film.
It's a test. Yeah. But no, it's been great. And Michigan Avenue magazine just came out last week and said we are their #1 hottest concept, and Chicago Magazine gave us the #1 on their hot list. So I mean, that's definitely helped. And again, you don't go into it saying we need to achieve this and get on that, or we didn't make it if we don't do this. We're going to cook and do what the guest says and make everyone happy, and hopefully it works out.
You know what I find? My older brother's a foodie. I'm not, although I've become a junior varsity member of the foodie class. What I find in the culinary scene, which is true about theater, which is true about music, and which is true across the arts in Chicago, you all are competitors, but you have a real fidelity to community.
Right.
Meaning you are solid with each other. I mean, you want your restaurant to succeed, et cetera. But you look at Melman, you look at Boca, you look at these guys, and there's a real sense in Chicago of a support network, even though there's, I say, small C competition.
Yeah.
And I think that's impressive.
I agree. And I think competition's healthy, right? It makes you want to get better and you get inspired. But it's never... what would you say? There's no underlying negative theme about it. It's not malicious or anything. But I've had chef friends from D.C., New York, L.A., San Fran say that they're very jealous of that feeling that Chicago has where we are all together. Like nobody, says anything bad behind this chef's back, and no one's trying to steal this guy's cook to do this. I mean, everyone really does work together well and supports what the others do.
All right, I've been wanting to do this. What's the history of the white glasses?
I always say do anything for attention. You gotta stand out and make people like you. So
I'm so glad it was me.
I just
ball-faced.
This is now like the whole psychiatry appointment. Well, let me tell you, Dr. Ram, what happened is but I have all these different colored glasses, and I just thought it was really fun. And the white ones, for whatever reason, stuck out. And now I'll walk down, the aisle in O'Hare, heading to the my gate, and people are like, hey, I know you. I knew you from the glasses. You're my favorite chef. And it's like, oh, okay, what dish do you like? I don't know. I don't even know if you have a restaurant, but you're my favorite chef. And so literally, what does the word chef mean anymore? It's just someone that has something to do with food. So.
Do the Elliot boys, when they have friends over, expect Dad to whip something great up here rather than sit around watching CNN and getting frustrated?
Yeah, that's all. Exactly. Yeah.
I want him a dad that also kind of go, hey, Dad, make us a peanut butter and jelly salad.
They do. They love that. But every time I try to show them why I do things or what the best way to do it. If you're making a grilled cheese, make sure the cheese is even across every single piece of the bread. And that way when it melts, you don't just get crust on the outside. And then that gives crust a bad name. All the kids want the crust cut off. It's like, yeah, because usually it's dry. If you do a PB&J all the way to the sides, every single bit, it just makes sense now. So you got to teach the idea behind things.
I think your kids are going to need therapy.
I know. I'm already a nerd dad, and they're just like, just give me nuggets.
All right, we can do the fast round. Ready?
Uh-oh. Okay, let's do it.
Okay. Fast round is 5 things about Chicago. Cubs socks.
Cubs.
Thick or thin?
Thin.
Lake or river?
Ooh, river. Absolutely.
That's
good job, by the way.
Okay. Sears versus Hancock.
I'm going Sears. I used to think Hancock. I thought Hancock was cooler design, but I've gone back. I really do like the shape of Sears.
Now, I know you're not from here, but 20 years, so you're kind of in, man. 16-inch or 12-inch softball?
12-inch. Make it harder.
Okay.
16, anybody can hit 16 with a stick. I mean, come on.
And I didn't get enough time. You actually do a lot of philanthropic work.
Yeah.
Across the city, and I want to thank you for giving back.
Absolutely, the city's given me everything. So,
any causes that you're working on now specifically that you want to make sure people know about?
I think. Well, I work with Smile Train.
Right.
Kids with cleft lips. Also, No Kid Hungry. But the biggest one is wanting to somehow do my own, where it's teaching kids how to cook, especially inner city, South Side. It was such a huge thing for me and really saved me. So to be able to somehow give back and teach what I know would be great.
So thank you for doing that. I'm a little offended you never asked for the recipe on the challah bread and the French toast. That's okay.
I took notes.
I'm opening a restaurant next to Gideon,
Okay,
so it's
okay.
okay. I'm
Yeah,
gonna kick your
love
butt
it.
there too, you know.
I told Stephanie I was going to call it Graham and the Goat, just so I could like steal some of her business down the street.
I bet you that competitive community thing really came through there.
Just next level.
Folks, we're here with Graham Elliot, who made Chicago home and made Chicago famous. And I really want to thank you again for giving back and for what you do with your art.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You're listening to Chicago Stories with Mayor Emanuel. You can subscribe and leave a review on Apple Podcasts and tweet your guest ideas using #ShyStories. Thanks for listening.